it going, guys? It's Jake with the ClickTool Academy here. Today I wanted to talk about something that I've sort of been looking into in the last couple of weeks that I found super interesting, and that is really studying the way that our brain chemistry, specifically our dopamine receptors, and our desire for more dopamine dictate the way we act and the way that we move forward and focus on things in our lives. Which is crazy because in reality, as humans, pretty much everything we do, all of our actions and the emotions that trigger those actions are dictated by our desire to feel good, our desire to trigger that dopamine. Dopamine is the most powerful chemical in our brains in terms of feeling good. It's the most addictive chemical when you're doing illicit drugs. It's the chemical that is most highly associated with highly addictive drugs. And it's what we spend our lives chasing in whatever way that might take shape. And for me, that might be something like de-stressing on the weekends and playing a video game or something. And I find video games to be, de-stressing, and in the past I've thought of them as sort of my free time, a way to get away from the work, a way to get away from the affiliate marketing, to get away from focusing on developing my educational programs, get away from producing video content, whatever it happens to be. I find, maybe spending some time on the weekends as a chance to de-stress from that, or I have found that to be the case in the past. But in reality, really the only difference, when you think about it, because when you look at a video game I've played in the past, years ago I was really into Skyrim, for example, the Elder Scrolls Skyrim, if you're familiar with it. And in this game, it's a fantasy world and it's super cool and fun to explore, but really at the end of the day, you're doing work. In the game, you're doing a simulated version of work. You're getting up, you're training your sword skills, or you're training your one-handed skills, or you're training your alchemy, your potion making. And whatever you happen to be doing, you are working and you're trying to grow. Because that's, as humans, we feel this inherent desire to constantly be growing. We aren't happy if we're just sitting around doing nothing. We need to be growing, but we enjoy when we're growing in ways that trigger our dopamine receptors. So when we think of free time, when we think of relaxed time, really what that is still work, still growth, but in a way that triggers our dopamine receptors. So what we need to do as a result of that, in order to stay more focused, to focus in on the things that actually matter, the logical things that are going to make us happier, like not just lying in bed all day and actually getting up and working and producing something and earning an income and developing and learning a new skill and all these things and living our lives. These things, for whatever reason, often our dopamine receptors are saying, nah, sleep in today and play some video games and eat some junk food. Because those are the things that are going to quickly give me that dopamine rush. And we need, really at the end of the day, what you need to do is you need to come to terms and understand that this isn't just free time. This isn't just relaxed time. This is time that I'm giving in to that dopamine desire in my brain. These are times where I'm justifying that quick pleasure release of the dopamine in my brain instead of focusing on the things that logically will actually make me happy. So it's super important that you come to terms with that concept, and once you do, that you learn how to manage it. So how do you manage the desire for dopamine? Because like I said, it's what triggers us. It's what leads us to do anything in life. It's what causes us to move. We're constantly chasing that next dopamine high. So the question is, what do we have to do to get past that? And really there's a few steps. You can let it out. You can talk with a therapist. You can sort of release your desires, your dopamine, your sort of minimalistic thought patterns that are triggered just by that brain chemistry. And you can go that route to sort of try to come to terms with it. Or you could compromise with it is another way. You can approach the dopamine receptors and what they're asking you to do is just a suggestion, and understand when my brain says, man, wouldn't it be great to just sleep in today? You need to come to terms and you need to realize that isn't really what you want. That is your instant gratification. That isn't what logically you're going to say, man, that was a good decision. That was something I enjoyed. It's just going to be an in-the-moment experience that you need to learn how to overcome. And you need to say, when your brain, your dopamine receptors say, let's do this. Let's just sleep in today. What you need to say is, no, I'm going to do more than that. I'm going to move past that. I'm going to get up and I'm going to go accomplish something. Or what you can do is you can Take a minute. Let's say your dopamine receptors are really going off. Take a minute, pause for a second, count down from 10, and then ask yourself, is this what I want to do? So just any of these sort of mind tricks. It's important. Really, the most important thing is understanding that when you think of motivation, when you think of things that you don't want to do, but you know you really want to do them, you are trying to figure out how to get yourself to do those things, like work harder, like stay focused on your goals, like whatever it happens to be. What you need to understand is what the force is that's telling you you don't want to do them isn't really you. It's your dopamine receptors. It's your animal instinct. It's your mind triggering and clicking and telling you this is what you want, when in reality it isn't. And you need to focus on not, the pain of moving past these things, but to focus on them as things that you're not actually interested in and approach them from that angle. And in doing so, hopefully some of you who are watching this will be able to start being more productive and live a more productive and well time managed lifestyle. So if that is, hopefully this helps you if you're that person who's looking for that right now. And I hope you learned something from this video. And I'll see you guys in the next one.